Welcome to How Good Is. Today we're going to talk about First Sunrise Shizuka. She's an Axel Blast hybrid character, balance type with attack, defense, growth type. Oh my god, we're going to see a whole bunch of Axel and Blast strategies. Oh my god. Well, okay, so if you guys want the TLDR, this character is basically all about being good for her Kimochi. So against the Kimochi that is Forest type, because she's a Fire type character, she's going to be really good. Is she good in other places as well? Yeah, kind of. She's overall a pretty good unit, but specifically against that one Kimochi. If that's good enough for you, then you don't really need to listen to anything else in this entire video. But let's talk at least about one thing, which is her personal, which apparently are some designs for her costume that were drawn by Kanoko. So, it might look a bit weird, okay? Some mushrooms on there, so, okay, whatever. Anyway, point is, this one's really fucking good. It gives everyone plus damage up and manga damage up. What? How fucking good is that? Everyone for 5 turns? I mean, the percentages aren't that high on the blast damage, but the manga damage percentage is actually pretty darn fucking high for being for the entire team for 5 turns. The fuck? This is one of the best personals that we've seen in a really, really long time. Okay, sure. Her stats are also astronomically high. So extremely high. I can't even fathom how big those stats are. This might be, I haven't done the math, I haven't gone around and checked, but she might actually be the one unit with the highest amount of total stats, which is kind of insane. Or even if she's not the highest, then she's at least like top 3. It's absolutely absurd how high all of those stats combined are. So yeah, that's pretty good. What else do we have? Connect. It's not that amazing, okay? So she's mostly, since you're going to be used for her Kimochi, and the Kimochi where you bring the fire characters is the Charge Blast Kimochi, okay? So the fire Kimochi is the Charge Blast Kimochi, and therefore what is good for Charge Blast? Well, it's actually crit, because you of course already try to buff attack up really hard, you try to buff damage up and blast up, you already try and cap yourself on all of these damage bonuses. And what is the one thing you're not gonna be capped out on? It's gonna be crit, of course. So this is like the crit is like the one thing that you actually need in a charge blast, and only in a charge blast, like only on this specific Kimochi is where crit is actually really good. You don't want crit basically, or you don't really care too much about crit in almost any other kind of content. But specifically in this Kimochi, it's actually good for Charge Blast. So of course she has crit. However, it's only 70%. Why couldn't it have been 100%? It wouldn't even be overpowered, right? It wouldn't even be overpowered. It just adds RNG. And that's not a good thing. I don't like having that much RNG when you're already that deeply invested into something. Anyway, point is, it's alright, but the RNG might screw you over on the Kimochi ranking sometimes, and it might be really, really sad. What else do we have with Magia and Doppel? Funnily enough, a character that doesn't actually have that much stronger of a Doppel than a Magia, but it's still worth it to get to Doppel instead of Magia. What does it actually do? Well, it gives flame attribute attack up. I'm just going to read the Doppel instead, because you're probably mostly going to use the Doppel. However, you can actually play strategies where you play with the Magia instead, because, like I said, the Doppel isn't that much more powerful than the Magia. However, if you're using Sunrise Shizuka not as the, or something you have to call it like Sansuka or something, if you use her not as a support, which you can play her as, but instead as the main damage dealer, then you definitely want to go Doppel, because you have attribute strength and damage. And it's actually rather interesting that you can both be played as a level 1 support, but you can also be played as the main damage dealer, depending on what your team is, right? So yes, you have attribute strength and damage, allowing her to become the main damage dealer depending on what other characters you have. And allows her to play a not Charge Blast, but actually Charge Excel team, if you want to do that instead. Like if you only have Madoka Senpai, for example, as a good charge character, and you have no other good charge character, no other good blast character, no other good fire character, then you could do Murakami Senpai and Sunrise Shizuka, and you could just play her as the Doppel carry. You can totally do that, and it's going to be great doing that. Anyway, what else did you give? Well, the important part is flame attribute attack up. This is what makes her really, really good, because of course you play a team of 5 characters on that Kimochi, so you want to have as much flame attribute attack up as possible. Yay! However, the rest isn't that interesting. It's defense up, stealth aim resistance up, The number is a bit wrong, it's 50%. I mean, percent is on the 5 button, so I think it makes sense. And then there's barrier, like really defensive stuff. The defensive stuff doesn't fucking matter for Kimochi, especially because this Kimochi doesn't even use, I think this one doesn't use ailments. It might use debuffs, but not ailments, so yeah, that's kind of a waste. And the barrier is a waste, the defensive is a waste. Yeah, all this is, down here is absolutely a waste against the Kimochi, even though she's specifically for the Kimochi, with attribute damage and the flame attribute attack up. But okay, and because of what we're gonna see in Spirit Enhancement. But I guess it's like one downside is that she's really defensive against that Kimochi. However, if you play her outside of the Kimochi, like in 100 Evils for example, then those defensives are actually going to be really fucking nice. It's actually going to be really, really nice to take this to 100 Evils or EX Challenge if you're really struggling with those quests. So she's going to be able to do really nice. In general, she's an extremely good unit on a rather fresh account that just wants to do really well against tough content, because you get insanely fucking high stats, you get her buffing her own damage, and you get insane defenses for your entire team. Isn't that nice? Isn't that great? What else does she have in a Spirit Enhancement? She has a whole bunch of mishmash that doesn't seem to make any coherent sense whatsoever. They just threw fucking everything into a pot, and we're like, yeah, that's it. But more importantly, she generates MP per turn, which is it's not a whole lot, but sometimes can make the difference and get you to double when otherwise you wouldn't be able to, and that's nice. This one is useless, and then it also gives you blast damage up as well as flame attribute attack up, because she's the charge blast fire Kimochi, so of course she gives character, so she gives fire attack up and she gives blast damage up. Whoop de fucking do. For 5 turns for everyone. Amazing. This is like the one thing that makes you really, really good as the level 1 support, combined with her active, which gives frame attribute resistance down twice. Now, the question is, why did they put it on 2 buffs instead of just 1 buff? Well, here's the reason why. If enemies have debuff shields, so for example, you might have fight against an enemy Madoka and Iroha. They have passive debuff shields, so you have to break through those shields first with some debuffs, and this does that. It either breaks through 2 shields at once, or if the enemy only has 1 shield, then this one right here, the flame attribute resistance down 1, will break that shield, and then the flame attribute resistance down 2 will actually get applied to the enemy. So it's basically just to break through as many debuff shields as possible and hopefully still have some sort of effect on the enemy. That's why they spread it out across 2 debuffs. In theory, every debuff in the game would be better if it was spread out across like a million individual debuffs instead of being 1 debuff to completely shred debuff shields. But yeah. Against enemies that don't have debuff shields, because it doesn't do anything, it's just 1. You might as well treat this as 21% debuff, which is absolutely fucking fantastic. It's really, really good. And for 3 turns as well. Oh my god, only on a 10 turn cooldown. Wow. You're not gonna use this twice on a Kimochi anyway, but against like 100 Evils or EX, you can use this multiple times. Great. Anyway. To get back to what I was saying at the very start of this entire review, she's really fucking good against the Kimochi. Like, it's like the forest type Kimochi where you bring fire, and specifically fire charge blast characters. But she can also play by herself. She can also play in charge excel strategies, and she's okay as well outside of the Kimochi and does some really cool stuff. So overall, a pretty good unit. And I want to mention one thing very quickly, is that some people have said on the Discord that, oh, there's so much power creep happening recently because all these units are really, really good for the Kimochi or for rank mirror or stuff like that. But the thing is, and something that I need to mention, is that these units are really fucking good for those specific scenarios. And yeah, it's the high-end scenarios, the scenarios that whales are gonna roll for. But if we're talking about overall power level, what can this unit do? There are so many old units that have a very similar power level to this, if not even a higher power level than this. Like, regular Madoka is still one of the best overall power level units in the entire game. Mayu is still extremely fucking powerful for any Magia strategy anywhere. Like, there's still some extremely powerful. Yachiyo is still easily the best low rarity unit in the entire game, and she's been in the game since release. She's even better than a lot of natural 4-star characters. Yachiyo is that fucking good. She's still one of the best mirrors character in the game, for example. So yeah, they're releasing a lot of units that are very specifically great for current high tier content, but only okay outside of that, right? So overall, I don't think there's that much power creep. There's still some power creep, okay? There's still some power creep going on, but it's not as dramatic as people are making it out to be, because there's still so many old units that are still absolute top tier across the board in many different instances. Anyway, there's still 2 other Memoria. Let's go over them, and they are both 4-star actually in this instance. This one is really good if you specifically want to pump MP, but outside of that, it's not actually that great. Usually you actually want to have some sort of offensive capability on there, like either attack up or damage up or something like that, Magia up, but you only get MP. This one only gives you MP. That said, for really only wanting MP, this one is really fucking good. So it kind of depends on your team, on your strategy, if you can have a Memoria that's just for MP, or otherwise, if you already have enough MP to get to double frequently, you probably want to get some Memoria that gives like attack but damage up. And lastly, greetings from Tokime Clan. Are they really the Tokime Clan? Are these 3 characters really the Tokime Clan? Is this character in the center really a Tokime character? Well, I'm not going to say anything more. It gives attack up and blast damage up, and I think I mentioned this already in the news video. This is extremely good for, who could have guessed it, Charge Blast strategies. Yay! So for Charge Blast strategies, if you roll for her, you're gonna get some of these, and yeah, so if you roll for her, you probably are playing the Kimochi, where you bring Charge Blast characters, so you can already use this, blam, put it on your Charge Blast characters for that Kimochi. Amazing. So yeah, overall, she's cute. That was that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time.